So, this is episode 3 of the Pipeline Podcast. Today is June 2nd. This podcast is mostly about crazy conspiracies, the best ones, and how they affect like the news today and like a lot of current events, like that kind of thing. Um, we are live on Twitch. It's D4 Coda on Twitch. And these episodes, for the most part, are going to be coming out weekly-ish, hopefully more on YouTube. And enough of all that stuff. Let's just get into these stories I have today. So I have 5 stories today. They're all great. You're gonna love every single one of them. I already know. They kind of can go a little deep. Um, we're not gonna be covering everything in all of these stories. We're just mostly gonna be focusing on what's been updated on these stories and what people are talking about today in the news. So without further ado, let's check out our first story. This one a lot of people have heard about, and I heard about it and I was like, what even is this? And I was like, okay, of course, like I have to look into it. So the title here: Trump's defamation case to revoke New York Times, Washington Post Pulitzers can proceed, court rules. So I heard about this and I was like, okay, I was just not familiar with it at all. So I had to take a little bit of a dive, look into it a little bit. So the New York Times and the Washington Post, this kind of goes back to like the whole Russiagate scandal. It was around that time. They printed these articles. The articles got Pulitzers. Trump says, the articles defame him, and sues them. So everyone's like, okay, like this is kind of ridiculous. But then the courts, they haven't really ruled on like who wins the case, but they found that it's not going to get thrown out. Like there's going to be a case. So they're going to let it proceed. There's a little summary here again. Oh, this is another like very interesting thing. This is why I was interested in this story in the first place. So obviously there's not going to be a New York Times or Washington Post source on this because it's about them getting sued. We can just try to find a source. I looked earlier already just for like a source, that was like pretty good. But there just isn't any. So like obviously we see some from like the New York Times, Washington Post, but like these are older. As far as like specifically this ruling that the courts made here, there's just no good sources on it. So this source, I don't know anything about, but it's really just all we have to go with right now. So a little summary. Florida Appellate Court has allowed Donald Trump's defamation suit against the Pulitzer Prize board to proceed. So this is another funny thing about this. Trump wants the Pulitzer Prize board to take the Pulitzers away from New York Times and Washington Post. That's what this is about, which is just hilarious. The court rejected the board's argument to pause the lawsuit based on constitutional concerns related to Trump's presidential status, stating such privileges are afforded to the president alone, not to his litigation adversaries. Kind of a weak argument. I'm not a lawyer, but um to say that like Trump's lawyers like can't make this claim, like Trump has to, is just kind of weird. Again, don't know much about the source. This could be a very misleading summary. I'm just going off of what I can find. Pulitzer Prize controversy. We can get into this a little bit. Russiagate goes very deep. And that's just like something that I can't cover quickly. So we're not gonna really get into it today. Hopefully at a future date, we can do that. But for now, we're really just focusing on, what's in the news today. So, there's the defamation case. Court says that it can proceed. That's what we're focusing on. So the lawsuit centers around the Pulitzer Prizes awarded to the New York Times and Washington Post for their reporting on alleged connections between Trump's 2016 campaign and Russia. Trump argues that these reports were false and defamatory, and has requested that the Pulitzer Board revoke the prizes, which is just so funny. Because like when you like file a lawsuit, and it's like, okay, so this is what I want. I want those prizes revoked. Like a lawsuit is like a serious deal, and it just seems so silly that like this is over like an award. Um, Another thing that I want to show you because it is relevant. New York Times. I had a source that actually linked the articles. Maybe it's in here. Okay, so this is what I need to show you guys. So this source here that I've never heard of does link the two articles that the case is over. And this is kind of my problem. So the whole case, like Donald Trump wants to take away these awards that Washington Post, New York Times got by the real name, Pulitzer Prize Board is giving awards to these two media companies. And then like these articles both won Pulitzer Prizes. So you'd think like, okay, they must be like really good journalism, some of the best. They won an award. And then I try to read one, the New York Times, the fake Americans Russia created to influence the election. And it's just behind the paywall. And so then I go to the other one, the Washington Post article, and it's the same thing. And it is kind of ridiculous how like you think you'd want people to read that article if it won a Pulitzer Prize. I really want to read that article. It won a Pulitzer Prize. They give out free articles. The New York Times does this a lot. I forget what it's called, but like you'd think that if you were gonna have a free article, it should be one of your Pulitzer Prize winning articles. Like, okay, like it won a Pulitzer Prize, it's super great. Oh, we should let everyone read this. Like this is gonna be great. But that's not the case here. And it's probably something to do with the lawsuit, I'm sure. But I can't read the articles and I'm not going to pay. And I just haven't looked for like an alternate source. I know that there are, but I want it straight from the source. If you're going to stand by these articles, even if you're getting sued over them, but these are Pulitzer Prize winning articles. I wish I could read them. So that was kind of my main gripe when I looked into this story. Not Russiagate. I'm not getting into Russiagate. I'm not doing it right now. So it's just kind of like just looking at how these things like develop is like so interesting to me. like it does start with Russiagate that goes on for years. And this is like that's all like back in 2016. Fast forward, Trump's president again, filing lawsuits, and I did hear about this lawsuit, but again, I didn't think it would ever go anywhere. It really still hasn't gone anywhere yet, but it might. And just doing my like very surface level like digging into it, I would love to be able to hear from both sides and see the other side of the story here, see what the New York Times says. Um, but the New York Times, they have the paywall, and it's a little bit frustrating, if I'm being honest. So we'll just kind of read this last little bit here of the summary, the conflicting assessments, and then we'll move on to the next story. Trump, along with other conservatives, has described the media coverage of his campaign's alleged Russia ties as the Russia hoax after investigators found no evidence of collusion. So yeah, that has like kind of been the story that I've heard. But this case really isn't what I'm getting at. Like both of these, the title of the article here and what I have highlighted could be true at the same time. So it could be true that the New York Times and Washington Post did defame Trump. It also could be true that there was no evidence of collusion, So like it is like it's just like I'm not really trying to get into like the crazy Russia hoax, Russia gate. I just really am talking about New York Times, Washington Post here. So maybe we'll just start that over. I kind of just ranted for a minute. Might cut that. Trump, along with other conservatives, has described the media coverage of his campaign's alleged Russia ties as the Russia hoax after investigators found no evidence of collusion. So yeah, I guess what I should probably be saying is there is no Russia hoax. Or like Trump didn't know that Russia was like it wasn't Trump and Russia weren't colluding, even if Russia was like supporting Trump and not supporting Hillary. And they were trying to influence the elections. I guess what I should be saying, both of those could be true. Um, so yeah, like that. Um, Trump, along with other conservatives, described the media coverage of his campaign's alleged Russia ties as the Russia hoax after investigators found no evidence of collusion. In contrast, the Pulitzer Board has maintained that its decision to award the prizes stands, stating in a press release, no passages or headlines, contentions, or assertions in any of the winning submissions were discredited by facts that emerged subsequent to the conferral of the prizes. Okay, honestly, like, this is why I don't even want to get into Russiagate. Like, even just like forget all this. I'm talking about the title of the headline here. So it is just a lot. But what I'm excited about is to see where the court case actually goes, just to see what kind of ruling they make. I do think Trump loses this case. But just the fact that it didn't get thrown out is kind of surprising to me. So I will keep an eye out for that. I don't know how long it's gonna take. I would like to see. I don't even know, like, could a judge really like rule and like take away an award? Like, is the Pulitzer Prize board like it's just like a private entity, right? Like its own company, so it can just give out awards for whatever it wants to. I feel like that's how it's set up and works. I don't really know. So I can't imagine any court saying like you have to take back these awards. I don't even think they can do that. Um, but apparently it looks like they might be able to. So we'll see. I could talk about this and really go into it forever. That's why I have to keep reminding myself to not talk about Russiagate. So I'm just gonna force to. We're just gonna go to the next story before I just get lost on this. Um, so I apologize if you wanted to hear more. I wish I honestly could follow it a little better, all of the Russiagate stuff. So we'll continue. Imane Khalil says she will stand firm following legal action after winning Olympic gold. So I feel like a lot of people, by reading this title, don't know what this is about. But then if I said like, "Hey, did you hear about that like trans boxer Olympic person?" You'd be like, "Oh yeah, like that was crazy." So like that's what this is talking about, if that helps. This was something in the news. Maybe I can let's see if I can just sum it up properly. She's like she wins Olympic gold medal for boxing, and obviously that's going to be female boxing. Um and then like don't if you don't like what actually happened, me saying it, like don't be offended. Just like really go look it up yourself. Because when I first heard it, like this is not the take I got from the story, but this is what happened. So she wins the gold medal and she just gets slandered that she's actually a dude in the media by like everyone. And I know this because when I first heard it, I was like, "Whoa! Like they really let a trans, like a male to female, compete in women's boxing in the Olympics." And I was like, "Well, that doesn't sound fair." Um, but then many months later, I looked into it. I went down this rabbit hole. Um, so Imane Khelif is actually a girl. It has always been a girl. Believe it or not, like swearsies, that's the truth. Um, there was like one test. This is where I gotta like actually start looking at the article. There was like there's like one test she did. I think it was some kind of drug test for like some kind of tournament. Um, and it popped that it said that she was male. We'll go into it because it's obviously not that black and white. Um, and it's pretty interesting. It's actually great. So I haven't really peeped this source too much. I just kind of looked up the story, found the first one that looked good. CNN, it's fine. Um, oh, so I guess this is what's relevant in the news about the case today. Before I really get, or it's not even a case, but about the story. So this is what people are talking about most recently, February 13th. So it still has, it's kind of been a while. Um, she basically said she's going to take legal action against people that slandered her in the media, which she hasn't done yet. So that was just like an open threat that she didn't. She's not actually. I don't think she's actually doing anything. I haven't seen any suits. So she was just saying that. This was in February. So Algerian woman won gold, subject to global attention after defeating the Italian boxer. Um, The fight triggered an onslaught of online abuse. That's not really what I'm interested in. That's not what I'm talking about. It's this is not this full scoop. Okay. where was like the test that she took? Okay, there was like the real like juice of it that I really wanted to go over. Um, but either way, it is like this IBA. It's like a boxing organization or something, and they like kicked her out because they said she popped as a dude in one of her tests. Um, which is like not actually true. Um, and it does say up here like they're not recognized by the Olympics. It's like their own like organization. I'm pretty sure they're Russian. But it doesn't really say that here. But let me just keep looking into it for another minute. I just want to get the best. I want to um tell it the best I can. I will fight in the ring. I will fight in the courts. But she hasn't done the courts thing yet. See, this isn't talking about it either. I must have missed it. Yeah, I guess this isn't even talking about the test. Because it just says here like the fight triggered an onslaught of online abuse. Um, but they don't tell you why. It's because people in the media just went on. It's started they started this and it's like leaving that out here. But it was because of some test that she failed, but the test was like kind of not the most legitimate. But I'm really surprised it doesn't go over it here. Let's find a different source. I guess this is not the juice. My bad. Oh, look, there's an update from 2 hours ago. Okay, we are going to come to that later. We're going to come back to that because we got to follow it. Let's try to get a timeline going here. All right, PBS. However you feel about PBS, it is a source. Whoa, where's the story? Okay, no, that's actually not what we need here. Wow, okay. There's actually a lot of updates of the story today. Okay, you know what? Now this is some breaking news. June 1st, 2025, that's yesterday. Medical report leaked that proves she's biologically male. So maybe I was wrong. Um oh, can we read it? Okay, maybe I wasn't wrong. I thought this story was gonna be like a throwaway, like something that's just like pretty easy to go over. Um, AP News will definitely have the take I'm looking for. But wow, yeah, there's actually been a lot of updates on this. Oh, right. So like here, assigned female at birth. That's as far as I understood the story, this is true. So again, we got to talk about the controversy. Cuz like people weren't just saying she's a dude just because she beat this person in the Olympics in 46 seconds. There was like another thing that it was like a test that she failed. And I'm trying to find that. Okay, here we go. I think this will go over it. So in 2023, she was in the World Championships before being disqualified by the IBA. So the reason, okay, finally, I'm so sorry. I appreciate you all for waiting. Um, it was high levels of testosterone in her system. Um, that's not a chromosome test. That's not like a XY or whatever chromosome test. So it just like means maybe she was doping is what that might mean. Um, but people took it as it meant that she's a guy. And so they called her a dude. And that is kind of like the story here. Although it looks like that story is still developing as of like today. So I could be wrong on this. I don't really think I'm going to do an update. It's just like not that popular of a story. Like even all these there's like so much new stuff about it. Even like today, the last couple of days, I didn't hear about any of it. It's kind of faded out. Um but anyway, this is what I was planning on talking about. So um in 2023, it's World Championships. She gets disqualified by IBA. IBA is not like the Olympics. It's just like some kind of boxing organization, and it's Russian. So like it could have been like a political thing. There was like another statement I read by like her or like another female boxer that was like every female boxer has high levels of testosterone. Um, and I do believe that to be true. So it could have just been like some corruption. And then you find out IBA is like a Russian um organization or sponsored by them. And you think, okay, so like this could be like a disinformation type thing. And everyone was calling her trans in the media, which I actually don't think is true. Although the judge is still out on that one. It's still developing. Which I thought it was over. So that's kind of the story here. Um, yeah, like when I first like bookmarked this source to talk about it, um like this article wasn't out yet. I mean, it came out 2 hours ago. I didn't see anything like this. So I'm not really gonna look into this right now. I'm gonna give it some time. Um, but I don't know. It looks like some people are saying like next time she competes, make her take like a gender test. Sure. I guess. I don't know. I'm not really gonna talk about it. Um, interesting story. We'll see if it pops back up like in the news again. Like if I start seeing this more often, I'll definitely talk about it again, especially if like interesting stuff comes out, which I didn't expect that to happen. So it might turn into something. We'll see where it goes. I will be very surprised. Yeah, so uh, just to give you my hot take, so I will be very surprised if it turns out she actually is a guy. Um, Everything I've really ever seen until now, it's like it was just the high testosterone levels that started those rumors. Um, it wasn't like a real gender test, like a chromosome test or whatever. And she's always been a girl, so that is my hot take. The media got it wrong. Um, and should maybe apologize. Because it's kind of a big deal. I mean, she's a gold medalist, so like if you're wrong, just like admit it. If I'm wrong on this, I will admit it. If she actually is a guy, I will admit it. So I will follow it. I don't think I'll cover this full story again, but I'm interested to see an update. So we'll have to see how it goes. Um, we're gonna go to our next story. Our next story. Um, I don't know if we there's like a video that I'd love to play about it, but I don't think it's appropriate for YouTube. So we'll just see how it goes. So we have RollingStone.com. We have um QAnon conspiracy theorists are going bonkers over Anne. I don't even know how to say her name. Anne Heche's death. We'll go with Anne Heche's. That sounds good. So if you like conspiracies like me, you've seen this video of her. It's like a ring doorbell cam just looking out into the street, and she's driving a car and it just goes flying by. And then it ends up hitting a house like down at the end of the street. Um and she does die, unfortunately. But there's a video uh of them there there is a legitimate video, a real video of them bringing her out in a body bag, and she like she's like laying down in the bag, and she like breaks out of it like a zombie and like sits up. Uh and I really can't. I don't think I can show that video, but maybe I can find like a censored version. Um because it is crazy. So the conspiracy theory is very easy to figure out here, like what people are the conspiracies about. So, well, why why are you bringing alive people out in body bags? That's the conspiracy. So why are the paramedics like? Imagine if you were like me, got in like a car crash, and we were like incapacitated but not dead. Don't you think they would just double check? They like make sure that you're dead, and then they put you in the body bag. So like, say I was just knocked out and I woke up in a body bag. Um, that would be crazy. So I think like the official story is like she was dead, or like she wasn't gonna live for sure. And it was just kind of like a bodily reaction. But you see the video and you go, nah, like you go straight to QAnon conspiracy theories, and you go, okay, like they just shoved her in there. We're like, it was like it was almost like a comedy sketch where they're just like, I'm not dead. It was really good. Let's read a little bit of the article, and then I think we'll try to find uh like a censored source. Um, this is a little bit older, but last week the actress died at the age of 53 after a devastating car crash. Again, the conspiracy theorists will say, obviously she wasn't driving that. Someone remoted it into the house. That was controlled remotely, and they just turned and made it so she couldn't use the brakes and just floored it. Obviously, I mean, come on, you know this. She was a celebrated actor with film credits. You could say that she's famous for being Ellen, the mean Ellen on the TV talk show. She's famous for being Ellen's girlfriend. Um, let's see. Where's some more article juice? Okay, so yeah, it talks about her relationship with Ellen, her struggles, her erotic behavior. They're just putting that stuff in there to make it seem like we can believe this story. Oh yeah, she floated into a house because she has substance abuse issues and mental illness. Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's great. Oh, and erratic behavior. Okay, yeah. So that's why she did it. And that's why they put her in a body bag when she wasn't dead. Okay, yeah. All right, continue. So, as an interview, such okay. Oh yeah, she claimed she was an alien at one point. That's fun. That's really good stuff. Um, yeah, aliens, they still got to use the brakes in a car. From what we know thus far about her death, it seems that she's continued to struggle up to the last moments of her life. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about in the video. Footage from the accident shows that she had been driving at high speeds at the time of the crash. A blood test taken shortly afterwards found the presence of drugs in her system. So, what drugs? Um, I feel like you could take a random drug test of like half the population of the United States, and like they'll all have like some kind of drug. You talking about caffeine? You talking about ketamine? Like you talking about like poison? Like what? What are the drugs? Um, Again, I don't care enough to really find out what drugs there are, or if they even announced what it was. The story of her life and death seems like a tragic yet clear-cut case of an explosive talent struggling with addiction and mental illness who ultimately succumbed to her demons. So yeah, they're saying that she did this. QAnon does not think so. And especially if you watch the video, it's crazy. Let's see if there's anything else before we try to find a clean video. So, oh yeah, conspiracy theories did not see it that way. Obviously not. They saw it as proof of something else. She had been murdered to cover up the crimes of Hollywood power players and elites like Epstein. So, if I had to speculate and put my tinfoil hat on, she had some dirt on Ellen, and Ellen is not known for being a nice person. And Ellen, just it's like relationship drama. Ellen's like, oh, I need to, hey, like does your friend still have that app that can like drive cars? And, the guy's like, yes. And she's like, all right, let me just see that. Like, I think that's what happened. If sorry, I don't think that's what happened. But if I had to put my tinfoil hat on and I had to like connect this conspiracy theory to like who plotted it, I wouldn't even be thinking about Epstein here. I don't see the connection. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Shortly after she died, a post started circulating on Twitter that read, so she died in a fiery crash, was working on a movie. I was working on a movie titled The Girl in Room 13 about the Epstein ring. So, okay. So that's why someone, I mean, Epstein's already dead at this point, so that's why someone killed her. I don't know about that. That's funny though. The claim also circulated on Facebook. Yeah, so it's riddled with conspiracy, obviously. It's a fun one because of the video. The problem is it's not really something you could find if believe it or not, on like YouTube. So just because I know that we can't find the real video on YouTube, we'll try to find like a clean version on YouTube, one that you can play. Okay. Oh, so like right there that's a picture of the video. That's the Ring um camera, and she just zooms by like shoom. Um all right, let's check this short out.
This is Start Up a Storefront. When Anne Heche passed away on August 11, 2022, it shocked the world. After reportedly reaching a top speed of 100 miles per hour, she drove her Mini Cooper into the side of a Los Angeles home. Although
100 miles an hour in a residential area, and so even if you're having substance abuse issues or think you're an alien, you still don't do that. I mean, that's so fast.
Emergency responders were able to free her from the wreckage, she passed away in the hospital a couple days later.
So yeah, I didn't even know that. I thought she passed away to the hospital like on the way there, but they had her in a body bag, wheeling her out, which Like that's just, oh, this is it right here. I doubt it's gonna show it all, but do you see? I think that's it right there. So there's like the two EMT firefighter guys in between them. That's her like getting up out and like sitting up. Um so this is live now from Fox. We'll see how much of the video that they play.
As we continue to learn new
And we're just gonna try to
that
find
car
it.
crash. As we can see
where's the good stuff?
The helicopter video there of the car.
This
in the
might
house.
just
You
be
can
the
see
video. Is this crazy?
Firefighters on the scene.
No way.
They're taking that car.
Let's go.
Heche.
So already, like, they're just wheeling her out now. And look at the response. That's outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe that's 7 emergency services vehicles. So that does kind of lead me away from the conspiracy here, because like for that many people to have arrived already and like set up, like I do believe that they just assume that she's dead. But that's a big fuck up because obviously she wasn't. So it could just be like, you know, someone made a mistake, or it could be a conspiracy. What I'm saying, it's probably, I do kind of not go the conspiracy route after looking at this, and just seeing how many like firefighters are like outside already. Like they're all, because like obviously the most important thing is to like make sure like she's gonna like live or whatever. So if they're already like working on other stuff and she's just getting wheeled out like this, yeah, like they must have like thought she was dead. We'll continue.
See, we slowed it down a little bit for you as firefighters were trying to
look at that.
This woman get.
So yeah, I guess you can play this on YouTube. I was kind of worried. Do you see that? Talk about a conspiracy. What? And so you can go back, even take a look at this, and tinfoil hat QAnon dude is gonna say, oh yeah, they're all there because it's all staged. So then it's like, okay, whatever. But I've really never seen anything like this. I mean, to get wheeled out in a bag like that, and then to say like that's just like a bodily reaction. And I don't know what to make of these guys, their reaction to seeing it. I really don't know what to make of it. Because they might have seen stuff like this before. And so they're just like nonchalant. Maybe they are surprised, but we really just can't tell from this angle. And we obviously can't hear them. So I don't really know what to make about the people who can see her get up like that. I don't know what to make about their reaction. He doesn't really look surprised, this main guy. He's just like, all right, put her in. But that's what you would do either way. Even if you thought she was dead and she stood up like that or whatever, sat up, I mean, she's still going in the ambulance, right? Like, so yeah, again, I don't know what to make of the reactions. I mean, you see the scene, and like there's guys on the roof already, and they're just wheeling her out now. So they must have thought she was dead for like a while. But she wasn't. So that's, that's how you can create a conspiracy right there. Love this conspiracy. It's fantastic. When I first saw that video, I went bonkers. So I'm very happy to be able to share it with you all. We will continue to the next story we have today. Let's scroll up. Oh, this one's good too. Oh, there's so many good ones. Okay. So this is New York Times. Trump amplifies another outlandish conspiracy theory. Biden is a robotic clone. So this is my conspiracy theory. Obviously, this is like a hit piece on Trump. so they would never put it behind their paywall on like a Pulitzer Prize winning article that is getting sued for defamation. They would obviously put that article behind a paywall, but an article like bashing him that's not getting sued for defamation and relevant right now, of course, that's not behind a paywall. So let's just read the title again. That's just, I had to, that's just my like thought on it real quick. So Trump amplifies another outlandish conspiracy theory. Biden is a robotic clone. When you read that, you go, okay, so obviously Biden's not a robotic clone. And that's what I thought too. And I still think that Biden is a real person. But I thought it was such a crazy article that I really wanted to cover it. And there is some stuff to go over here. We do have some Biden as a clone content. We do have some conspiracy sources. I gotta pull them up, but anyway, this was like when he was president. I think it was like, I don't know, he was like walking around or something and he like looked taller and people are like, that's his body double. So like there has been claims like this made before, which is hilarious. Um and so I was just kind of trying to think, like when I read Trump's claim, he didn't make the claim, he just reposted it, but someone else made the claim. I was like, I wonder what he thinks he's talking about. And yeah, it basically, what I think Trump's repost on Truth Social, and the post was talking about Biden as a robotic clone. I think what he might be talking about is like Biden had a body double. And I'm sure he would love to find proof of that so he could go around saying, oh, Biden couldn't even do his job. He had to get like someone to do it for him. But what we're gonna do, we'll take a look at this article just a little bit. And then we're gonna try to find some of these comparisons of when people accuse Biden of using a body double. And there is like one really good one I'm looking for. So we'll pull that up. So let's begin. So Trump shared an outlandish conspiracy theory on social media. It was Truth Media. It's like the Trump one. Saying that Biden was executed in 2020, replaced by a robotic clone. The latest example of the president amplifying dark false material to his millions of followers. So I wouldn't say millions of followers, because like it's always the people that hate him that really pick up this kind of stuff. Like the New York Times is obviously not a follower of Trump. I mean, they follow him, but I don't think they would like say like they support him, like a follower, how you would think of that. So because like Trump just says a lot of stupid shit, and like that's all this really is. But we are going to go into it. And so they're just stating the obvious here. President amplifying dark false material to his millions of followers, but really it's not his millions of followers. It's everybody, because even the New York Times is like picking this stuff up. I love this kind of stuff. Because like just Trump has a lot of great content for the media. It's so great to follow. I mean, we get to talk about a conspiracy of Biden being a robotic clone. So like this is fantastic. You don't really get that with other presidents. So I'm all about that. Mr. Trump reposted a French rant. Yeah, so he reposted it on Truth. He didn't actually say it. But even a repost on Truth by Trump is gonna get a post, an awful article by New York Times. But that's it's pretty great. So yeah, Trump has a penchant for sharing debunked or baseless theories online. Yeah, this theory, this is a crazy out there conspiracy theory. But we're gonna take it from the crazy level of this conspiracy theory that Biden is a robotic clone. And we'll try to tone it down to a case where maybe there were some days where Biden did have a body double for whatever reason. I'll see if I can convince you of that. How about that? So, we'll just keep digging. Look at the article a little bit more. It's just talking about misleading statements that Trump makes. And that's about it. Let's see what we can find. Biden body double. I think it was like 2022. Maybe 2021. Biden body double 2022 comparison. I don't know. False claims by the BBC. Ugh. Come on, that's not what I want to see. I just want to see some of the photos. Oh, there's PolitiFacts. Maybe it will help us find the real source. September 20th video, so that will help us identify it. Instagram post. Don't really want to watch an Instagram post. Oh my god. Yeah, a lot of these are just like random Facebook things. That's not like any of the good stuff. There was like one really good one though. We will find it. Yeah, I think it was this. The Biden White House has really embraced the silly little walk. Yeah, it was something with his walk. I do remember that. Um. Oh. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, let's check this out. This is CNN. I just want like straight up comparisons so we can kind of analyze it. Let's check out the video. Unable to load because Biden has a body double. I have too many tabs open. Unable to load. We could check YouTube. Maybe we're not going to do that. Oh, okay. So here's a good comparison picture right here. So like people are saying this is I think this is the original Biden. This is Biden's body double. Sometimes they use this guy when Sleepy Joe is too sleepy. That's kind of what this conspiracy theory could be based from. And so obviously like people on like Truth Social, especially Trump, are gonna exaggerate it as much as they can, when it might be better if they just made the case of like, look at these pictures, let's find some more details, see if we can find that video, and you can make your own decision. So if we're only going to judge these claims based off of this picture here, we do see some things that are not similar. Mainly his hair here. He kind of like his like head like bulges out near the middle here. But the original like Joe Biden, it doesn't do that. The face is a little different. Could, all of this could just be the lighting and the lens. His eyes look the same. So, not, I don't see any difference in the eyes. Eyebrows look the same, but his forehead is a little different here. So his forehead here just kind of looks flat. It looks more rounded here. You can even see the reflection, the little like glare. You see that here, dead center. but it's very minor. The mouth is a little bit different, but again, his lips are at like different positions because he's saying stuff. So it's hard to judge that. Teeth, you can't really judge him by the teeth. I'm sure they're fake anyway. They could just be dentures. So we're not going to go into that. Neck looks good. Can't really tell if there's any differences. Another thing you can't really tell from this picture, you kind of can if you already know what you're looking for, but people claim that this body double is a lot taller. From this picture, obviously you can't tell. But you kind of look at the way his head goes into his shoulders. And there is a little more of an arch here. Again, angles of the clothing he's wearing. But like I said, don't just read this headline, Biden is a robotic clone, and disregard it. Try to think about, a super right-wing person making this claim and what they're actually maybe trying to convey to you. And then think about that and look at this picture and go, okay, maybe. That's kind of how I see it. So we're going to scroll down this article. This picture has been great so far. This is exactly what I wanted to talk about. We'll see if this article is anything more. But we'll just take another second to compare and contrast. I don't know, just the expression here, compared to like other like times that I've seen Biden make speeches or appear in public, it does look different. It looks like a different old man. But again, it's probably just the picture. Here looks a little closer to like how I imagine Biden in my head, but again, neither of these pictures really neither of them represent him well. But yeah, main points, he's taller. Facial features are a little bit different. Let's see if we can find any more stuff on it. Okay, and allegedly, these photos are from the same day. So if that is true, like that adds more to the conspiracy that he's using a body double, because in the same day, I don't see how this is the same person. But over the course of like a couple of weeks or even like a different 24 hours, it might be like, okay, yeah, it's just like different angles or whatever. But same day makes it even crazier. So let's check this out just for a second.
Folks, as we fight inflation, you can't be pro-insurrection and pro-cop. Bringing down gas prices is a big part of the job. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-democracy. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-American. And here's the good news. Gas prices have dropped every day this summer.
So I think that's the real
That's
Biden.
more than 40 days in a row. Donald Trump lacked the courage to act.
Yeah, like, if that's the real Biden, he's on something. Like he's drunk or something. I'm not even zoomed in, and it's like, this has got to be a fake video.
We now have 40,000
it's gotta
gas
be.
stations in the United States where the price of gas is $3.99 or less. The brave women and men in blue all across this nation should never forget that. How do we get the price down?
So honestly, seeing the video makes it even more ridiculous. That video looks fake. This just looks fake. What is Vice's conclusion on it? I mean, the straight up Vice doesn't say it here that it's a fake video. Let's continue. Okay, so I guess Vice's take is the video is legitimate, but Um, it is not most likely from the same day. Um, so that's kind of what I thought at first. They say that they're defending the video, that the lighting is completely different and it was filmed under different circumstances. They're defending this video. Why is this defending this? If I were them, I would go the route that this is a fake video, but it must be legit then. Um, so I don't want to go into it too much, but really, if you have been following along, if you followed that, um, this is worth looking into. Not the fact that Biden is a robotic clone, but this is where that absurd, ridiculous claim is coming from. Basically, it's a super exaggerated way to say that he quite possibly one time used a body double. And if you try to look and try to find an answer to that claim, did Biden use a body double one time, when you come across this Vice article? I mean, if that were me and I didn't have any other information on this topic, I would go, that's not Biden. There's no way. Um, so that's my hot take. um, my hot take is like, I can't believe this video or this picture where the video, in the video, I can't believe that's real. So that's my hot take. Um, give me just 1 minute here, and we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back to, I believe, our last story. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, we have one more story. Just give me just 1 minute. All right. This is the last story. Um, I really am not trying to get into medical stuff, so I'll just start this by saying I'm not a doctor, and obviously none of this is medical advice. But let's get into it. So this is the National Library of Medicine. This is some peer-reviewed study. You if you're like me, you've seen the headlines, and it's like Japanese study claims COVID boosters have microscarring on the heart. So if you click on that Reddit post, news article, you'll end up coming here. This is the peer-reviewed article, which is so funny because this is just a peer-reviewed article. Most of the time, you have to pay money to read these. Um, this is a free article. Trump's Pulitzer, the New York Times Pulitzer Prize winning article on Trump, that is behind a paywall. So, um, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, if you really want people to be able to make their own decisions, maybe make it so they can read the information like we can read here. So yeah, Japanese study on COVID boosters that microscar your heart. It doesn't really go that deep. It's a very basic study. It's not a smoking gun. It's a very small study. So it's not game changing. But it's such an interesting topic, and it's something that, say, 4 years ago, if I started making these YouTube videos, I don't think I'd be able to talk about. So let's talk about it now. A little bit of information. So I haven't really read a lot of these peer-reviewed studies, but this is how like it works. So it's background information. Unexplained cardiac arrest is often attributed to a patient's underlying disease. However, it is well known that an autopsy can reveal pathologies that were not noticed before death. So yeah, like these are autopsies. They're like people that died. They're like checking out their heart. Case study. So this is multiple micro scars. They're calling that MMS. So I don't know how much time I will spend on this article, but when you see MMS, that's multiple micro scars. And so they're saying that they found these all over the hearts of, I think it was 3 people that died that had received COVID boosters. So yeah, that's what it's saying here. MMS in the myocardium, I think that's part of the heart. I'm not a doctor. um, MMS found in 3 patients who died of unexplained cardiac arrest. Okay, so there is more similarities other than the booster. They all died of cardiac arrest. Um, let's see. So patients with MMS before death, they all had arrhythmia. They're just talking about here like the location of these scars. It doesn't mean anything to me because I'm not a doctor. All 3 patients had the booster vaccination. And it goes into more in-depth information a little bit in the article. I guess I don't even know if you call this an article, a peer-reviewed study. I mean, this is a peer-reviewed study. I, you know, it's not a Pulitzer Prize winning article, but it's a peer-reviewed study. So all 3 patients had boosters, but it's not just one booster. They all had kind of a lot, like an abnormal amount, in my opinion, but they are older. Um, and only one of them had actually gotten COVID. So that is going to be, it's going to make this study a little bit stronger if you're trying to go and like believe the booster's bad, because then the claim can't be made that, oh, COVID gave them these scars, because only actually one of them got COVID, but they all had multiple boosters. Discussion for patients with unexplained cardiac arrest complicated with arrhythmia. Cardiac MMS is given as the differential background disease. That's just like some doctor stuff. So here they kind of have like diagrams. I don't really know what to make of these diagrams, but they have arrows. The arrows point to the scars. Those are the scars. There's a table here. Oh, there's more pictures. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, like these are the little scars, and they're saying, it's a study of only 3, but they think there might be a link. They make a really good point. I might have already scrolled past it, or we're not going to get to it. That so when something unexplained happens like this, like when they take 3 autopsies and they see the same thing, they start obviously looking at like what's causing this. And one of the things that they consider when they start looking at what causes this is what has been like recent trends, like what has been going on recently. And so that's how they came to the conclusion that it was the boosters, just because they all had multiple boosters. But they do conclude the study, and they do say like it's not it doesn't mean that it's from the boosters. It just means that we should look into this a little bit more than with like 3 patients. We should do like a bigger study. So it's good information, and it's worth sharing. We should know about this. So again, these are more pictures of the scars. Here it's talking about the patients. There's a table that really compares them all. We'll probably finish with this. Maybe. Okay, so yeah, table 1. Excuse me. Patient characteristics. So one male, two female, 75, 91, 73. Heart weight. I didn't really know heart weights could vary that much. Like, that's crazy. These are two females. But this girl's heart weighs like almost double. She has such a big heart. Um, but look at this. So COVID-19 vaccinations. 5, 5, and 6. Even my grandma's not getting that many boosters. That's a lot. So it doesn't really say boosters here, so we're gonna make some assumptions. So there was, different kinds of vaccines. So there was the one where you get one shot and you're vaccinated, and then you come back later and get boosters. And then there was other vaccines where you get two shots, and come back later and get boosters. So if we're gonna assume that they both got the 2-shot COVID-19 vaccination, we'd have to subtract 2 from each of these numbers. So 556, it would be 334. What that's going to mean is, at the very least, based on my assumptions, patient 1 and 2 got 3 boosters, and patient 3 got 4. Which I'm sure there's a case. I'm sure that they're doctors. They're old. I'm sure they were recommended to get these boosters. But in my opinion, that is a lot of boosters to get. So, whatever, do whatever you want. But still, when I started looking into this article, I just assumed they all got like one booster. But no, they got multiple boosters. Another part of the article just states about how, because of science and they're good at their job, they can tell that these micro scars all happened within a short period of time. So they weren't like accumulated over like a long period of time, like years. Like, they happen in a short period of time. Which, could be some connection to like the vaccine, the booster. I'm not saying it is. That's really all we have here. Again, this really isn't a conspiracy, but it's also not proof that the boosters are creating these microscars. It is a peer-reviewed study, so like it's real science, and it's real information, but it's not claiming that it knows for a fact that it's linked to the boosters. So it is claiming that it could be, and we should look into it more. Studies like that will take a while. So like they could have already started a study by now. And it might take like multiple years until they do like autopsies of more like, a bigger sample size. That is all of the stories we have today. I know a lot of these stories were like super political. So if you made it this far, I just want to say, like, I appreciate you just getting past the headline, I guess, and just trying to see like where the fun stuff about these articles are, because it's always in there. So I guess we'll just sum up all the stories again, of course, just like really quickly. So let's go back to the first story. Oh, I talked about this a lot today. So, Trump's defamation case to revoke New York Times, Washington Post, Pulitzers can proceed. New York Times. Okay, well, just, I'm not going to go over the whole thing again, but my hot take is I thought this case would have got thrown out, but it didn't. I also think that the educated public should be able to read these articles without subscribing to them. Just so I can pretend I know what I'm talking about. Like, let me read them. I'm not going to pay for them. I don't care that much. I just think it almost makes Washington Post and New York Times look like they are trying to suppress the article, because whenever it's a hit piece on Trump, that shit's free. So that's kind of like what I make about it. Um, and predictions, I think that there's no way a judge can make the Pulitzer Prize board take back awards. I feel like that's not a thing, but maybe they can make some kind of settlement. Um, we'll see how that goes. um, and I'm not getting into Russiagate right now. Next article. Who is Imane Khelif, Algerian boxer facing gender outcry as modest success before Olympics? So the story I was going to talk about with this is that she is in fact a female. She always has been and still is, and she just tested high for testosterone. Um, and the organization that tested her is Russian funded or Russian sponsored, which just means they just make up their own rules. We all know this. Russian athletes in the Olympics get kicked out all the time for doping and stuff. They like you just especially in boxing too. Like you hear boxing and you hear Russia, and you're just like, okay, so they're making up their own rules. So again, the story I was going to talk about was that, but then there was some updates on it. So apparently the judge is still out. People still want to do like a legitimate sex test or gender test or whatever to really get to the bottom of this. I would like to see that too, but also I am under the impression she's female and always has been, and she's an Olympic gold medalist and she's already went through enough scrutiny. And obviously if she's in the Olympics again, do a better test. I don't know. I think I skimmed over it earlier. I don't know if they even do like testing like that in the Olympics. But next time she wants to do some kind of like official whatever, just up your testing. So you can just settle it. I would like to see that. She did say that she was gonna do lawsuits against the people that defamed her. So if she wants to do that, she's gonna have to go public with like a test as well. So I guess that's what we should be looking out for to conclude this story. I, after going over it today, really don't know what to think. I will say I think, it's hard with stories like this to really know what the truth is. I think she's a girl and always has been, and she got screwed by some Russian test, and maybe she was doping, like taking testosterone, and that's why her levels were so high. That's kind of what I think. And the media got hold of that and said, "Oh, it's high testosterone is because she's a dude," and then made it like a trans issue when it really wasn't. That's what I think. So we will continue to the third story. QAnon conspiracy theorists are going bonkers over Anne Heche's death. Don't know her name, so sorry. This one is great. This is one of my favorite conspiracies. Um, so, yeah, we all saw the video earlier. If you didn't, I mean, they're wheeling her out in a body bag, and she just leans up. She sits up. She's not dead. Why is she in a body bag if she's dead? And then there's more conspiracy stuff like the huge response. How could they miss that if she died 2 days later at the hospital? How could they not? How could they really think that she wasn't alive? So people are going to say like it's a setup. Also going 100 miles an hour straight into a house in a residential area. People are going to say someone took control of her car. I love this conspiracy so much. So I don't think there's going to be an update, unfortunately. I don't think we're ever going to get any more news on this, but it's super great. Wish there was more info on it. Honestly, I could spend a whole day or two on this. Like, this is great. Um, I guess my hot take is I don't think there is a conspiracy here other than they thought she was dead. Someone thought they'd like checked her pulse or something and they did it wrong, and that was a huge fuck up. You know, that's what I think here. Like whoever like decided to put her in a body bag um made a huge mistake. That's what I think. And then if you are going to um say I was absolutely convinced there was a conspiracy, I even if she was working on some Epstein film, I wouldn't go the Epstein route here. I would more likely go her mean ex-girlfriend, Ellen. Um, and it was some kind of like relationship dispute and she was like getting back at her. So that's the kind of the route I would take with a real conspiracy. But I really just think like an EMT just checked her pulse wrong or something, and that's what started all this. Um, Tell me what you think. So we'll go to the next story. Trump amplifies another outlandish conspiracy theory. Biden is a robotic clone. Okay, so here's the other source. Okay, so let me try to sum this one up by just asking you to imagine this case, the story on a spectrum. So the top of the spectrum, you know, a 10 out of 10, we have Biden is a robotic clone. Like 0 or 1 out of 10, bottom of the spectrum, we have on this one day or in these videos, like did Biden use a body double right here? So what I was kind of getting at earlier, you know, I'll kind of just sum it up, repeat it, is like obviously Trump is going to exaggerate any claim that he's making. That's just how he is. So this is him by him re-truth socialing a post that says Biden is a robotic clone. That's him exaggerating what he thinks as Biden used a body double. And then you look at these videos, and like Vice could have told me that this video was fake. I would have just believed it. But they go on and on defending this video. And then especially after you hear, especially when you see them standing too, he does look a little taller. But then when you see them speak too, this is not Biden. In my opinion, it doesn't sound like him. And it looks like him, but there are some discrepancies. So my take on it, maybe Biden tried to use a body double. I bet everyone, you know, like in his cabinet was like, don't do that again. They're on to us. And they just didn't do it again. I don't actually think Biden is a robotic clone. But I do think my first point could be true that, you know, Biden, he's older and was having a bad day, but they needed him to appear strong and get out there and get some freedom done. And so they just said, all right, well, we got this guy who looks like Biden. Just have him give a speech. You know, if no one questions it, we'll use him later. And they did not use him later because I do have a hard time believing that this is Biden. And I am really surprised that Vice really defended it so hard. So I don't even know what to think of that, because you could have just tell me it's a fake video and make it easier. But then to try and make the argument that it really is the lighting and it's like different angles, different time, different outfit. I've seen him speak a lot. It doesn't look or sound like him. It's similar, it's close, but something's off. So I'll leave it at that. Last story, to summarize it. Peer-reviewed article. Yeah, this was not a conspiracy. This is just information. Peer-reviewed article. They did 3 autopsies of people. It was like 70 or older. All of them had at least 3 boosters, and all of them had microscarring on the hearts. Um, and so, there's really no hot take here. I'm just going to agree with the article. We should look into this more. That's what I'm talking about here. I really hope you like the stories. I do hate that, to talk about the good stories, like you got to get through like political stuff. Um, I wish there was a way around that, but unfortunately, I don't know how to do that. Um, so I appreciate all the interest. If you liked any of these or want to see maybe like a follow-up or like a spin-off, like, a lot of these could really trail into like other stories that we could talk about. Leave a comment. YouTube description has like an email. Send us an email if you have any great ideas. Um, Again, we're live on Twitch when we do these. The regular like scheduled time for like these episodes is going to be Wednesday. So expect a video then Wednesday. June, that's going to be June 4th. I'm trying to just think if I forgot anything. Have a great day, and I will see everybody in the next video, and we are going to have some great stories, trust me. And have a good one.